Marcel, where are you going with that disc? You are not putting that on again. Marcel, okay, if you press that button, you are in very, very big trouble.
Attention. Everybody stop what you're doing. It's time for The Unwritten Rule, a Mizzou sports podcast brought to you by the Believe Network, alongside Payton Haverman and Kenny Van Doren. Here is your host, Jack Knowlton.
Welcome back to The Unwritten Rule. Today is Friday, June 6th, and Mizzou men's basketball has a new GM. You already knew that, of course. Tim Fuller has been announced as the general manager of Mizzou men's basketball. It was a couple of days ago, but we didn't have a chance to really go deep on him and talk about him, his background and all that stuff, because I think I think it's a worthwhile discussion because I think this is a really fantastic hire for Mizzou men's basketball. So Payton, you gave a spiel. Feel free first to throw in any other 2 cents you have right now, and Kenny as well. What are your guys' thoughts? I mean, Fuller has quite the background. He is. I'm not going to list every place he has worked in a basketballing capacity because it is quite a long resume, which I think is a really good thing for what Mizzou is looking for in this role. I'll just give this take off the jump, fellas. I think they nailed this hire. I'm frankly a little bit surprised that his name never popped up in a comment or in a discussion from any of us. I'm not sure if you two talked about him off air separately, and maybe I wasn't clued into that, but I was a little bit surprised by that. I really like this, given his background. He was obviously at Mizzou before as an assistant. He was at Providence most recently under, of course, Kim English, former Mizzou guard as an assistant, is now his back. So there's a couple of ways a couple of things I want to go into. Off of this, but what do you guys make of it? Tim Fuller, now that we have more of a chance to discuss schedules lined up a little bit more, what do you guys make of the hire in Mizzou's first ever GM for men's basketball?
Well, the reason he never came up was he was an assistant on coaching staffs that kind of aren't looked at too fondly, had a lot of recruiting violations and just hard times. So I don't think anyone really expected a reunion would be in the cards. That said, I do kind of agree. Again, I'm not super clued into the GM thing and everything, but on paper it looks good to have the kind of connections he does with Nike, with Overtime Elite and everything like that. I will say, it like I said, it is very interesting that this reunion happened. I don't think it's one I would have ever expected. Jack's obviously going to be the one that knows more about the GM stuff, but just from the standpoint of being able to take a lot off of Dennis Gates's plate, letting him be more of a head coach, I think that is really going to wind up being the main benefit for the program there.
Yeah, I agree with you, Payton. I think too, like the one thing that really just jumps off the page to me is like we can call it a home run hire. I mean, how do we really know? Like that's the big thing for me. I know like his resume is very long. He's a lot of experience in all these different things. Even like Eli Hoff reported this today for the St. Louis Post-Dispatch that Tim Fuller's contract is 2 years, $350,000. He'll get paid $100,000 for this upcoming season and $250,000 the following season, and that's in line with what the roles fit with the coaching staff for what they were kind of looking for. But have we seen like any GMs get fired, Payton? Like that's the thing that kind of goes in my mind. It's just so early in the process of these kinds of things with college basketball, having these oversights for NIL, for building rosters, transfer portal, agencies, having all these connections. But at the end of the day, I mean, it looks like a great hire just looking at his resume, but now you got to see it get put in place. And I think you won't really see it until next year too, Payton, in my mind, because that's when the next transfer portal window is. It was kind of interesting to see if intriguing, would they try to get one during the middle of the transfer portal and trying to build out this roster and see how that affects it, or wait till the end? And they waited until the end, a couple months after adding their last guy.
Yeah, Kenny, you make a lot of good points. I mean, Payton, you do too. It's notable for sure with some of the staffs that Fuller has worked on. Looking at his background, obviously he was at Louisville for a bit of time. 2010-11 under Rick Pitino, obviously that, there was some recruiting stuff that came back and bit those teams. And his only time as a head coach at the college level was 5 games when Frank Haith got suspended at Mizzou. It is worth noting he went 5-0 in those games. I do have that could be a bonus Ken Sports Shorts maybe sometime down the road, which teams those were. I do have them written down.
Southeast Louisiana.
Okay, he's gonna guess. Go ahead. Yep, that's one of them.
That's the only one I know.
Okay. Southern. It's actually Southern Louisiana, Southern Illinois, Hawaii, Gardner-Webb, and IUPUI. And then there's another one in there I don't have written.
Isn't Southern Louisiana just Southern?
Is it? I don't know. It was listed as
that's
Southern
what the school
Louisiana.
is. Yeah.
I thought it was
Gardner-Webb
Alliance.
the other one. So, regardless, he does a 5-0 record as a head coach. That's obviously not what he'll be doing on the court. But you look at even the release from Mizzou, obviously that felt notable, feels notable to reference because they kind of talked about what the job will be from a roster construction and recruiting standpoint. I went back, and this is something I'm excited to do, given his background, especially with Nike and Overtime Elite. I want to find all of the players he has worked with / maybe helped recruit. And I started going back to it with Mizzou. It's a relatively significant list. He helped recruit a couple of guys out of the portal, including Jordan Clarkson. Jabari Brown was another one. He got a couple of 4-stars in his time at Mizzou. Jonathan Williams was one. Torrin Jones, a couple of guys who ended up transferring. But I know he was on. I read somewhere he was on the top coaches that were under 40 years old back in 2012. So he's seen as kind of an up and comer in a more distinct staff role. And I think his backgrounds with Nike are really interesting. I'm sure you guys saw this. He worked with Nico Harrison when they were both at Nike before Nico Harrison, of course, became the Mavs GM and traded Luka Doncic. I don't think Fuller will be able to do anything quite as explosive as Mizzou's GM, but regardless, he worked with a couple players there. I know Vince Carter was one of them. Or I think it was Paul Pierce, Rondo maybe at Nike. So you look at his time at Mizzou. I think a big thing we've talked about a bunch is the alumni relations, right? We talked with Kareem Rush about that and him getting involved back in the fold. You've got some of these guys. There's a lot of untapped stuff there with Mizzou that I think Fuller, with his time at the program before, can maybe tap back into. I'm curious to see where that is. I read somewhere, of course, you now can look into maybe one of those assistant GMs where the role's kind of in writing, where maybe you get, a current or former Mizzou player involved, kind of like some schools have done, like Oklahoma did with Trae Young. We've talked about that before. Terrence Mann at Florida State is one of those. Maybe Fuller does that. I'm curious to see what directions he goes, but I think relationship wise and just, whether or not, there you go. You could have Porter come in as an assistant GM. Again, it's one of those things. I think that's like an in name only. I think this was the guy they had to get, from a relationship stuff, a lot of the language that Dennis Gates used, I think they'll be very aligned. So overall, I really like the hire. Again, I'm going to kind of do more of a deep dive because I want to see just what sort of relationships are there in the past that could be kind of tapped. I think the OTE stuff is really interesting. I was not an OTE fan from a player development standpoint, but I think from that for recruiting, I think is significant. And Kenny, you obviously know a lot about how important that world is now, especially for basketball. I look at a guy like Jordan Clarkson. It seems like he was pretty early on involved with portal recruiting. Those were back in the days where you had to sit out a year to play for Mizzou if you wanted to come there. So Kenny, I don't know if you have a 2 cents on that in terms of just the importance of it, but I think he has background that assists him there. I think this was nailed. I really think you have, again, you look at Nike, you look at Overtime Elite, you have some of that business acumen that I think is really important in a job like this, because this is a business now with recruiting and transfer portal stuff. And I think Fuller has some good experience there.
Let's take a look at Overtime Elite. Mizzou signed a kid who played at Overtime Elite, and now he's at Georgia Tech. So it's an interesting, idea, because I know that the way Overtime Elite kind of puts itself out there, sometimes it feels like a reality show. with the YouTube channels and everything else that kind of plays into it, but it doesn't take away. Like, there's phenomenal athletes playing in that league every single day that the games are going on. The thing that just really stands out to me, it's not even just the resume, but the Rolodex. I think Tim Fuller probably has over 1,000 contacts in his phone alone, and that just might be in one phone. A lot of these guys have two, one phone for work, one phone
Coach
personal.
Chris Paul.
He's just, his name has to be out there with so many different people. And, it doesn't seem like he's a guy that's been burning bridges with how many names are just being thrown around just in these kind of posts. So that is definitely a positive.
Yeah. I think a lot of the backroom stuff and the importance of that, again, I don't think he's going to be a name you're going to be hearing about every day when Mizzou basketball season comes around, but it's going to be, a guy who is pulling strings behind the scenes and is quietly influencing the way Mizzou's roster and Mizzou's culture, frankly, is going to be built going forward. I think you need a guy who can do that, who has been kind of in multiple roles, whether it's as a coach or as a executive, general manager, VP of operations, whatever title you want to give. I think he's that. And I'm excited for it. This is, again, a thing I could nerd out on for a while. And I am, like I said, I'm going to go back through his other stuff and see which players he's coached, which coaches he's maybe worked under. Like Kenny said, like that Rolodex of,
it'll be a Mount Rushmore. That'll be the next one.
It could be a Mount Rushmore. Tim Fuller, I don't know, recruits, proteges. I don't know how that would
fingerprints.
Yeah. Guys, I don't know.
How about connections? How about we use that word?
There we go.
Instead of fingerprints.
Fingerprints is crazy. But yeah, I just wanted to do a little bit more of give our 2 cents because I think it's important. And I'm excited for what Fuller can do with the roster. Kenny mentioned Mount Rushmore. We have another one. It's, of course, Friday. We're in the summer. We're going to do one. There's been some disputing. I came into this. We're going to do Mizzou football player names only, just who has the best, coolest name. Me and Payton came into this thinking we were doing the all of football, like the entire history of Mizzou football. We were only going to do last season's roster. Kenny vetoed us. I just want the record to show that was a Kenny.
It'll be another time.
I thought we were doing this season's roster.
We are.
What did I say? Yeah.
Jack said last season.
Sorry, 2025. This upcoming season's roster.
Yeah.
So we'll do that.
Jack already kind of hinted at, but these aren't names to watch or names to follow through.
No,
these are just
simply the names.
Simply cool names.
Yeah.
Like Jack Knowlton, that's, okay. Like, that's why we called him okay.
Right.
But if your name is example, like this was someone I would have taken, Ziggy Hood, if we were doing all time stolen from Jack.
Stolen valor.
That's someone that just has a cool name. We're not even just talking about his play on the field.
And Knowlton's got a silent letter in there, It's kind of fun. All right, spin the wheel. Spin the wheel. I won't argue with this. Rigged wheel. Oh, look at that. Look at that.
I don't like going first.
Spins the wheel. All right, Kenny's first. The wheel's spinning. It's spinning for you pod listeners. Oh, and look at that. I'm once again last on the rigged wheel. Dude, this is awesome.
Yeah, take that, Jackson.
All right, so
Bing bong, Jackie.
Hey, Jack, you're last if you didn't know.
Yeah, thanks.
I just don't even know where to go with this because,
this was your idea.
I know, but I could just take a name and people are just like, "Oh, that name's okay,"
Kenny, I think for you and what you do, there is a 1-1 here for you. Like who I
I don't think there. I think I know who I would take if I were you.
I'm gonna take Demarion Folks. I just think that is a awesome name. Hit the Folks.
Not the first pick I would have gone.
Definitely not a 1-1 I would have taken.
And Demarion, he's a cool guy, pretty fast, nice guy. He flipped from Pitt. I enjoyed him, so I'm gonna take Demarion Folks as 1-1.
Okay.
All right.
So I'm next. I got one that just kind of hits all the boxes. I'm gonna go with Mose Phillips III. Mose Phillips, of course, the transfer from Virginia Tech. He probably will, if not play starter snaps. Expected to be a heavy contributor there. Mose is a fun one. Phillips is a good last name, strong, and it's got a number in there. So Mose Phillips III. This is the type of high quality analysis our subscribers look for. There's my first overall pick.
I do
Yeah.
appreciate the breakdown of that. That I can get behind that. That's a
I
good
got my
pick.
next pick, but I don't think he's making it to me.
I'm gonna. Ooh, you have your next pick. You said.
I do. I know exactly who I want.
He's on the screen.
Shush. Why don't you scroll? Scroll away. Thank you.
So he's near Mose Phillips.
Stop it. This isn't funny, Kenny.
There's the kid. Oh my God! I know who I'm taking. My
You gotta
1-1
make
has
2
got.
picks.
Oh well, I know I'm taking my first one. I gotta go with the Prez. Give me James Madison. I gotta go with James Madison.
Okay, that's a
That's
good
a good one. Very good one. Yeah, this is just a really hard draft to do. Because
This is actually a lot harder than I thought. There's some good names. Oh my God. Shout out former Cleveland Brown defensive tackle Ishmaeli Kitchen. I will be taking your namesake Langdon Kitchen as my second pick.
Wow, he did not take who I thought he'd take. But
I
those
did
are
not
good.
think Landon
good
Kitchen
picks.
was going to get
Langdon
taken.
Kitchen, a president. That's strong.
Yeah.
Um,
I like my start here.
Kenny, did you think I was going to take one of those? Who do you think I was going
No,
to take?
I did not think you're going to take one of those. I'm not going to say who I think you're going to take.
Well, say who you think, because I'm about to take him.
Nah, just take him. I'm not
Matt
going to say it.
Zollers is my next pick. Yes.
Oh, I knew it. I knew it. Oh, we made so many puns with his last name.
Yep, the 5-star sensation before his unfortunate injury his senior year. Really one of the more hyped QB recruits I think Mizzou has had in quite a while. It sounds like dollars, and his first name is Matt. There's a lot of famous Matts in history. Matt Moore.
Okay, this is too much analysis.
So there you go.
All right, Kenny.
Okay. I back to back. I told Kyle that we were doing this beforehand. And I told him I would take Daniel Blood. I'm taking Daniel Blood.
Yeah,
J.R. Blood was on here. I would think about it
a good
too.
one.
He threw that at me, but I'm going to take Daniel Blood here. Also, a really cool guy. He's kind of been like a spokesperson for Mizzou too. I wouldn't be surprised if he talks at a couple press conferences there soon, and the next year or so. Wide receiver, number 10. Then we kind of get into a tough part because you guys have taken some guys that I was leaning on that would fall.
I can't believe you haven't taken a certain someone yet.
I don't. You guys text each other and like just told each other, hey, let's just pretend like Kenny knows what they're.
No, there is a name that I am going to take if you don't take him.
I'm taking Brett LeBlanc.
Okay, there it is.
Yeah.
I was waiting for you to take Brett LeBlanc for like ever.
I figured that'll be my third pick, starting long snapper. Also, a guy I've been kind of high on for a long time, even when we were in college. And 3 of us actually saw him playing at the Rec once with Blake Craig.
It's true. Shout out Blake Craig. All right. Back to, is it me now? My last two?
No, it's me.
No, sorry, it's Payton again. My bad.
Oh man, I'm gonna back pocket that. I'm gonna look through the others. This is hard. You know what? I like fishing. I'm a big fan of it.
I thought about this one.
You know, reeling them in. Give me CJ Bass the third again. Another number in there. I like when names stand for something. CJ obviously means something. So CJ Fish the third.
You should know what the C stands for.
Charles.
Yeah.
Oh, is it Charles? I didn't
Charles
know
Bass.
that.
He went by Charles Bass during his recruitment.
Look, man, we've talked about a whole lot of recruits over the days.
I got you, Kenny. I got you.
CJ Bass the third. That is my pick.
That's a good one. I'm going to say this one because I don't think I'm going to end up picking it, but in the same mindset of James Madison, I am somewhat tempted to take Tommy Reese just as like having a namesake. I'm thinking about that one. Maybe I'll take him on my back pick, but I'm going to think for just a second. Gosh, there's some tough ones. Kenny, there's a couple freshmen whose names I enjoy.
I thought about Ricardo Meriwether.
I thought about Meriwether. The 2 freshmen I'm looking at are Henry Fanuku and Dakota Terrell. Those are both strong names.
The way Henry says his name too, like I have a video of it. He was like Henry Fanuku. It's pretty cool.
Oh, Fanuku.
Yeah. Well, he just said he just said in a cool tone. So it's just like that's pretty cool.
I feel like I'm burning all my honorable mentions that I usually say at the end. But Toriano Pride's another one I enjoy.
Jalen Early shares his last name with a coach.
I am going to go with my gut. I'm going to take Henry Fanuku as one of them. I really like that name. It kind of sounds like, I don't know, almost like a Star Wars character, like Count Dooku, Fanuku. I don't know. And then for my last one, I will go for. All right, I'll do it because I'm enjoying the namesakes. Give me Tommy Reese. We'll pull the trigger on Tommy Reese. That's how we'll
walk on linebacker.
Yeah, and former coach of Oklahoma.
I'll round out my class with Dalen Carnell. I think that's just a really rock solid name for a really rock solid player, maybe even better than rock solid. I think Dalen Carnell, there's just a certain there's aura behind that. Dalen Carnell is strong and he's a great player, so I'm going with Dalen Carnell. No, I'm not taking Brett Brown.
Why is he still on the roster?
Brett Brown.
I don't know, man.
All right, last pick. There's some good ones out there. These guys just all have pretty
Oh
good
man,
names.
I have a UDFA.
I also just found a UDFA as well.
Is it Donovan Olubide?
Yep.
I did think about him. That's not the one I was thinking of, but he was.
Santana
I
Banner?
noted him before.
I thought about Santana Banner earlier. I did not take him.
Mine is I know he says Butcher, but a punter with the name spelled like Butcher is so fire.
Tavoris Jones, Sam Horn, they were on my board. Oh my God, Cameron Keys.
I'm taking Jackson Hancock. If we're going to talk presidents, or not even presidents,
Hancock
I guess.
Was never a president.
Not presidents, but the Hancock signature.
What did John Hancock do, Kenny?
He wrote his name really big on the Declaration of Independence. So I'm going to go with Jackson Hancock. Also a pretty cool guy. Pretty nice guy.
There you go. The most thorough analysis you're ever going to find on this show.
Good lists. I'm a fan of mine. I like my team. We'll let the voters decide.
Maybe has more good names than I thought. Like Jalen Catalon didn't even.
Bo Perbula probably should have been taken.
Bo Perbula, yeah.
I thought about Bo Perbula. Anthony Favreau is a great name. This is a good way to get to know the roster. Just read the names.
We need to do these like twice a week.
Nasir Pogue. I mean,
that's Al's son.
I was wondering. I meant to ask you that. Curtis Piegler.
Is Dayton Hopkins going to go by Day Day?
I don't think so.
Oh, his
dad played at Nebraska.
The name
and his
Day-Day
mom did too. I think his parents were both athletes at Nebraska.
The name Day Day is so fun. But all right, there's our list. We'll tweet them out. Put your favorite names. Maybe we'll do an all-time one down the road. But we'll finish off this portion of the show. We have some more news, some more loose ends from the last week of Mizzou news to tie up. We'll do that on the other side here in Quick Hits. Okay, Quick Hits time. We'll finish out the show. We've got Jersey of the Week to start. Kenny, your Jersey of the Week.
Jersey of the Week goes to Cameron Meisner. Payton, do you know where I'm going with this one?
I'm not I have a vague idea. I'm not entirely sure where you're going with it, though.
Well, his name was thrown around a lot last week as a possible option or player to be optioned for the Tampa Bay Rays. He stuck around. Chandler Simpson was optioned, top 10 prospect in the Rays system. Very speedy guy. He's known for speed. But his defense really wasn't up to par. And of course, he just, hits singles pretty much often. And he's not really too much power behind him. And so the Rays opted to keep up a guy with some good defensive numbers. And we don't have to look at all this blue right here. Look at that fielding run value, 95.
I was going to say, why didn't you just scroll down to his
field?
Yeah,
that's true. Well, if I zoom in, can y'all see this?
Yep, yes. That's literally perfect.
Yeah, there we go. So fielding, his outs above average. He has 5. That's a 95th percentile. It's very good. A lot of red, for those that don't know, is good. Arm value, 85th percentile, and arm strength, 89th percentile. So very good numbers defensively. We don't have to look at all this blue batting.
Can I ask a dumb baseball question for YouTube?
Sure.
For the draft, what does round CB-A mean?
Competitive balance.
Competitive balance, round A.
Oh, I wasn't
So,
aware of
It was
that.
a
MLB
pick that
draft.
was granted to the Rays. I don't know what it would have been in 2019.
Got it.
Well, no, it would have been granted to
Marlins.
Marlins.
Sorry, yeah, Marlins. Yeah, I forget that he was drafted by them.
Got
Yeah, so I don't know what they got it for, but they got a pick after the first round.
Yeah,
Got
who
it.
would they have lost? Because I mean, they traded Real Muto, they traded Yelich, they
Mhm.
traded Ozuna, they traded Giancarlo. So I
There's
really
someone
don't.
they lost in 2018. I don't know who that would have been. You can also trade these picks.
Yeah, but
I don't think they acquired it. I don't know.
yeah,
I'll look it up.
that's an
Well, we don't-
interesting question, actually. Well, it led us down an interesting path, at least. Moving on.
Get your research.
My jersey is going to be Kyler Gonzalez, who is actually Missouri's first transfer portal get in baseball. He is out of Division II SSC, or he's a Division II SSC pitcher from Nova Southeastern. It seems pretty official. He put it in his bio and everything on Twitter or X. Sorry, the Everything app. It all happens on X. 5'11", had okay numbers down at D2. Definitely strikes me as just more of a Mizzou really struggled with depth in the pitching staff this year. They had so many injuries and a lot of guys that probably weren't ready to pitch, having to pitch. So if nothing else, it's a guy that's pitched 2 years at the college level. I believe Nova Southeastern's really good. I know they are in a couple athletics, but
I
maybe
was going to say, I've heard of that school before.
Yeah. So not like fantastic numbers last year. I believe his ERA was in the fours. Yeah, they weren't a fantastic team last year either. But it is depth. I think Missouri is not going to take that for granted. He started 14 games, had a 4.47 ERA, over 86 and 2/3 innings pitched. Not fantastic numbers, 87 strikeouts in those innings. But again, they badly needed depth this year. I think that's at least something you get out of someone like this.
Yeah.
The thing too, Peyton, we have to remember, college pitchers, like we can't even look at the numbers. Like it's just, there's
That is
something that
true.
Mizzou will probably see in this guy, something in that arsenal, something in the way that his delivery, they think they can fix. They also don't have a pitching coach right now. So maybe there's something more into it that they see in Kyler Gonzalez, that the reason they're bringing him in, that's beyond just what you see in the stats book. One more quick thing just on the Cameron Meisner pick. It was just for competitive balance round A, it was a pick granted to the 10 smallest markets or 10 smallest revenue pools. And it wasn't because they lost anyone or traded.
Okay.
I feel like I actually didn't know that they do that as a fan of a small market team. My jersey of the week is going to go to Haley Troop. This is pretty cool. Haley Troop is becoming the head girls basketball coach at Pelham High School. Pelham is a suburb of Birmingham, Alabama. So exciting opportunity for her. She was at North Alabama before as an assistant. She's originally from Gadsden, which is a town in East Alabama near Georgia. So making her way around the coaching world, Haley Troop, obviously, standout for Mizzou women's basketball back in our era when we were there for a while. And so good to see her continuing on the coaching ranks. I will point to a recent Alabama product coaching success. Bucky McMillan spent a ton of time at the high school level in that state, is now Texas A&M's head coach. So maybe the same will work for Haley Troop if she keeps at it. But yes, she's going to be Pelham's new girls basketball coach. So that'll be pretty exciting to see how she does. Was a grad assistant as well, as you can see on her resume at Mizzou before going to North Alabama. So exciting stuff for the former Tiger there.
Yeah, she's a 5-year player at Mizzou. I believe a 3-year starter. A 3-year starter, it says on the graphics. So very, very solid player. It definitely does not surprise me that she's kind of ascending in the coaching ranks already. I covered the team her senior year. Pinchton always had her very often at the press conferences, definitely spoke highly of her. Does not surprise me that she's the type to kind of be moving up the coaching world pretty quickly.
Best luck to Haley at
I
Pelham.
like no
Next,
capping. He's the main bird.
Sean East, main birds of the week. Kenny.
Why is this your bird?
I feel like this is a good one. If you're watching on the YouTube, I am wearing a Cardinals jersey. I'm gonna head to the Cardinals game here after we're done recording here on Thursday. Go see Jack Caglianone play. He already has his first big league hit, but my bird of the week is Victor Scott II because he robbed Jack Caglianone of his first hit in the second inning of his MLB debut on Tuesday. Game on Wednesday was postponed due to weather, but great catch by Victor Scott, a guy I've talked to before. I don't know if I told you guys this one, but I did accidentally say like something to the extent of, what do the Astros kind of think about what you're doing this year? And he was like, "You mean the Cardinals?" And I was like, "Oh man, it's a close one." But he laughed it off and he thought it was funny.
I don't even know if that's a close one. You said it, man.
It was a close one. He could have just hung up the phone. He was like, "What's this guy talking about?"
Sure,
But
yeah.
I thought it was funny.
That's good that he took
I'm
that
just used
well.
to the Astro stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, those are things that would always freak me out when you make those. Like it's just a hiccup. You don't ever mean to do it. This is a divisive bird, Kenny. You got Royals,
I
Cardinals.
cannot believe this is your bird. You are so shameless.
I'm not shameless. This is a great catch by Victor Scott.
Why are you using the one of him robbing Mr. Jack Caglianone? And
It was just fitting. I mean, he could have robbed PCA and I would have shown it.
Why would you have shown?
Because it's a great catch. Look how much
If
ground it covers.
Michael Massey flew out, if Michael Massey was the
That's not
one
a fly
flying
out.
out here, this would not be in the show.
That's more of a line out. That ball was lined.
Driven.
Either way, if it's Michael Massey or like
I would call
Michael
that a fly
Garcia, like
This thing had an XBA of 999. Isn't that crazy?
Do you hear? He's trying to talk over this. There is one reason this is in the show, everyone, and it's because Jack Caglianone.
Okay, you do your bird.
My bird of the week is going to be Coastal Carolina.
Why are you doing this one?
Because they have a teal court, and that looks awesome.
That pertains to us. In what way?
Coastal Carolina is a noted former non-conference opponent of the Missouri Tigers in the 2022-2023.
Shout out Asim Mustafa.
Yes, Asim Mustafa. That was the press conference where Dennis Gates called Isaiah Mosley Mr. Microwave.
It's true.
So there you go. They have a cool teal court. It's got the Conway, South Carolina boardwalk, I'd assume. That is where Coastal Carolina is. So it's actually a nice looking court, I think. That's why it's in the show.
Kenny, would you be willing to participate? I know Payton would do this in a favorite mid-majors Mount Rushmore.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just on what I think of the team.
Yeah, just aura. You just have those mid-majors you just really
UMKC.
like. Because Coastal is one of mine. I love Coastal Carolina. I like their aura. And yeah, did it say the river over there too? Oh, and the beach. That's so sick.
Also, I know like some Mizzou creative people are at Coastal Carolina now. And they probably shot this video.
Shameless Mizzou connection. My main birds of the week, Kansas, the Jayhawks, bird connection. They announced their non-conference basketball schedule, which of course includes their game against Mizzou. They will play them just a couple of days after playing UConn on December 7th. Reminder, of course, that game, to me, unfortunately, no disrespect to the people of Kansas City, but that game will be in Kansas City instead of on a campus, which I don't love, but I'm excited that they're just continuing to play the game. But they will play Missouri on December 7th, and they have the rest of their non-conference schedule. If you care about Kansas's non-conference schedule, they got to play Duke, UConn, North Carolina. Tough. They will also play in the Players Era tournament, which is not easy. And at NC State. NC State's a good team.
What's he doing?
I don't think we care about Kansas.
You just went through the entire schedule.
They have a hard schedule. I just kind of,
Towson
look at the
was
top. Look at the
#1 in
second top
CAA
comment
last year. While we're at it,
and they've got to play Doug Gottlieb's Green Bay Phoenix, which did not win a single conference game last year.
No, they did.
But yes,
they beat Red
Mizzou,
State.
Kansas. Headline is December 7th. Hopefully, Mizzou has a.
I think that's the only thing we care about from here, Jack. Yeah, the T-Mobile Center. Like on one hand, I agree with you, Jack. It kind of sucks. It's a neutral
Don't disrespect Fort Hays State in an exhibition game, guys. I mean, come on. That can be tough.
I can't focus now.
Princeton? Oh, they don't have Xavier and Lee anymore, but they're a good team.
Okay, next week. Okay, for best thing we learn next week, you find the best non-conference schedule you want, any team, and just find a reason why you like it. That will be our best thing next week. And we'll talk about that.
I love it. Do it.
You have not. You don't know what you've started. You don't know what you've.
Please do it. Are we all doing this or just Jack?
All three of us. We're going to find one. You get one team, and you have to go through why you think it's the best non-conference schedule. And it has to be one of these graphics so I can put it on the screen.
Princeton, Duke, the players there are UConn, and then Mizzou. That is a stretch.
Yeah, Missouri hopefully is kind of the one they overlook a little bit.
Bill Self and the boys are going to be
tested. But anyways,
what is he saying?
Back to the main point. Can you please pull up the graphic again? I don't care about what Mizzou or Kansas fans think of their non-con. The T-Mobile Center, like
serious disrespect to Will Wade and the Wolfpack.
Shut the hell up about the rest of Kansas. Do you think Steph Curry will be at the Davidson game?
I was like, Steph Curry went there.
What was I talking about?
The game being in the T-Mobile Center. Playing
in the T-Mobile Center. I think it's cool when Missouri plays a team like Seton Hall there, like they did a couple of years ago. I feel like Kansas, Mizzou needs to be played.
How'd that game go?
Really poorly. Really bad. I think that was the game everyone realized, this is a real rubbish team.
That team was crap.
This is a series that I think should stay on the campuses. We'll see what happens. Technically, this series only lasts 2 more years, and they're both at the T-Mobile Center. I'd be really stunned if it doesn't get extended. But as of now, the last 2 games in this series are at T-Mobile.
There you go. All
right, we finally have broken out of the Kansas non-con vortex.
Best thing you learned. Payton.
Best thing I learned, Mizzou softball got a commitment. It was not from a transfer. It was from Jaylee James, who is a high school catcher / utility player. She committed. She announced her commitment on Thursday afternoon. So Larissa stacking some more players going into next year. Again, a lot of roster turnover coming. As much talent as they can get, I'm sure they'll welcome.
Yeah, I do. I mean, we've been talking about they need new additions. Have had some big losses in the portal, so yeah, hopefully it can get it rolling on the recruiting trail as well.
Wow, that's quite the UNT.
That is quite the
mural
whole parking spot.
She flipped.
Yeah,
she must have, because I mean, she was not there.
Take that, Mean Green.
Oh, you know what? But I mean, of course, Mizzou did just hire the UNT assistant.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
good catch, Payton. Look at you.
Could have been a factor. Mm-hmm.
How does this affect Kansas's non-con schedule?
Oh man, I don't know. That game.
I wonder how this affects Victor Scott running down Jack Caglianone line.
That's a better thing than the Chanticleers. All right. Best thing I learned this week. Hey, let's stick to softball, huh?
Sure.
How about that? More softball. Do it. More
Jake
softball.
Epstein coming back to Mizzou. There was some just fun things of people going back and trying to find just old videos of just him around, and I saw that it was a still of a toilet with the M, the baseball M on it. I don't know if you've seen this, Payton. In the Mizzou baseball dugout, and that was the only thing that came out of this. Have you even seen this?
No, I haven't seen it.
You haven't seen this? I'll bring it up right now. Ben Arnett tweeted it recently. He was going through old footage to find. That's not Ben Arnett. To find Epstein.
Ben Arnoldi is.
I'll add to Jason Gwynn was the UNT assistant.
There it is.
There it is at the top. Sealer combing through 2019 Mizzou baseball video, looking for shots of Mizzou softball hitting coach Jake Epstein, and I see this in the dugout. I am told it was with the team all year and had some meaning for the hitters. Can't wait to find out what this was all about.
That's awesome.
That looks like Coach Epstein replying saying there she is, but not revealing what it was.
Yeah.
You hit a home run, you sit on the M toilet.
The throne.
The M throne. So there you go. Good return, more staff turnover for Mizzou softball. My best thing I learned this week, Caleb Grill. He was on the list of prospects invited to work out with the Portland Trail Blazers. So this is again my usual sneaking the NBA draft talk into the show as much as possible. Obviously, he's going to be looking for a home, probably will a lot more unlikely to get drafted than Tamar Bates now. I'll keep looking at that stuff. I actually haven't in the last week looked up where he's kind of standing, and if he's popped up in any news. I listen to a lot of draft pods, and usually they'll talk about guys on the fringes like Tamar if he's rising and stuff. The other thing I want to point out about this group of prospects who joined Caleb Grill to work out with the Trailblazers is there is a French forward named Mohamed Diawara, and it's very close to Mohamed Diarra, of course, of Mizzou lore. So
Legendary player.
Legendary. And it's Mohamed. Keep that in mind. That's all I've got. Payton, do you have a joke to finish the show?
I sure do, guys. Let's end this notable quick hits with a joke. One of the quick hit segments ever. Guys, this one comes from our favorite TV series, The Today Show, by the way. Where do elephants store luggage? This is
in the trunk.
Boom.
Did you drop something?
Now, my chair has wheels, and so when I went backwards, Jack, it made a noise.
You also said...
You know what else has wheels? A car.
Yeah, sure does. Those can get towed. That happens. Dude, Kansas, UConn, and Allen
Can they get
Fieldhouse. Guys, you're telling me you're not going to watch that? They're definitely going to put Shulman and Billis.
Someone do something. I'm serious.
sure,
In the Mizzou world, I know it's nice to have some days off, but please someone do something so we can talk about it. This is getting out of hand.
Mizzou basketball still has a roster spot open and a new basketball GM. How about we do something?
Okay, come on. It's like this guy poking with the stick meme. All right, that's the show. We will be back. And we'll have put more Mount Rushmore ideas in the comments. Put your favorite Mizzou names of all time down there. And
Kenny, your hair's moving on its own. Whoa! How's it doing that, dude?
All right, that's the show. We'll see you later.